morning, everybody. First off, I'm really excited to be presenting with Student Smart. I just met these kids, and they're incredible. I can't wait to see what you guys do with this. Yeah, this bumps for sure. Give me one, too. I'll take one. There we go. So I'm Sean Fahey, the CEO of Window and Window is going to change the way people with dementia explore their world. If you would have talked to me a year ago about this idea, you would have been speaking to a different person, right? I mean, what a difference a year makes. I'm going to first talk about the ecosystem, where we're at. Alzheimer's is everywhere. Currently in the United States, there are 5.3 million people living with the disease and over 20 million caregivers. That's set to triple in 15 years. Every day, 10,000 baby boomers wash up on the shores of Golden Pond, and that's going to continue to happen, iteratively, growing and growing and growing. This isn't going anywhere. This disease has no cure. It's estimated that every year there's $226 billion in costs to Medicare, Medicaid, and individuals who pay into providing care for their loved ones. Globally, 47 million people are living with the disease, over 156 million caregivers worldwide. Every 67 seconds, someone is diagnosed. By 2050, every 30 seconds, there will be a new diagnosis. This is becoming ubiquitous. But we believe that you can live with this disease and have an Alzheimer's journey that's supported through technology so you can live a better life. So we're designing an app that's going to help people with dementia explore their world as a memory aid, organizer, and virtual caregiving utility. The big thing that we're centered around is person-centered care. A lot of apps that we're seeing emerging right now are really focused on virtual care. They're focused on the caregiver. I get it. There's a lot of caregivers. They need the support, and we're behind that 100%, and we want to do that as well. But we believe that if we build for the cultural metaphor of people living with dementia, we're going to make something that's extremely easy to use that can be applied and extended outwardly to everyone, right? The first use case that we're going to build into is an always listening voice command-driven speech-to-text experience where you're saving your thoughts, memories, stories, and ideas. You're able to share that with your caregivers and your loved ones. As soon as you want to use it, you'll say, "Hey, window mirror," and that prompts you into just talking about whatever idea you had. That will go to a blog that's going to be neatly designed that you and your loved ones can look at. There will also be graphs so you can track the metrics of how you're thinking and when you're thinking, so you can hack into these states of flow that you exist in. Because people living with dementia are no different than us, right? They exhibit flow. They have states of lucidity. They get up in the morning, they feel great just like us, but they have moments where they're gray and they're foggy because of beta amyloid plaques and tangles in their brains. But if we can take those moments, find those moments where they're existing in flow and hack them and extend them, then we're improving their quality of life. And the second thing that we're going to iterate into is a facial recognition experience where you're able to look at, just hold your phone up and know who your loved ones are, and it will push nostalgic photos into your phone so you can see it. This is less about I'm forgetting and more about engagement for us. That will also grow into an augmented reality experience where you're able as a caregiver to go into scheduling for your loved one so that it can provide mapping. For example, say you have a dinner tomorrow and your dad is supposed to go and he still has driving privileges. Well, you can schedule that in. He can hit yes, I want to go. Half hour before he's supposed to be at this place, it automatically maps him, alerts him, tells him to go. He can hop in his car and drive. He stops at a light, he forgets where he's going. He says, well, I'm going to go eat at Arby's because it's there and I'm hungry. And it's going to tell him not to and tell him to go where you want to go. Simple things like that, little hacks that they don't have to do, that you can do to help them, to make you more virtual and give them an opportunity to let their phone be a forward-thinking strategist for them. I'm going to leave this open to you guys at this point to ask me any questions you want. This is the Dime Tour, and I'm excited to hear your thoughts and insights. I'll leave it up to Paul to sort of moderate this Q&A. And thank you all.
Anyone hear the We'd like to pass the microphone around for questions so that we can pick up the audio. First question I have is, Sean, how can this community help out Window-Mirror?
Sure. So this is my third Million Cups. I did a Million Cups in Florida. I've done one in Boulder, Colorado. We are based in Chicago, and we like that community a lot, but we don't feel like we're tethered to any one community, and we feel like this is something that needs to be applied everywhere, and this type of outreach is necessary. But we're also looking at the possibility of growing in emerging tech communities. We really like the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. We feel like this is a good place for a lean startup to stay lean longer, which is, I think, appealing to both me and my company and then investors as well, right? So that's a big reason for us. But then also, there's a huge healthcare component in Minnesota that attracts us. And also, Minnesota is really trying to become a dementia-friendly and capable state, which is exactly the ecosystem that we want to be in.
So I don't know a whole lot about dementia, so please forgive me if I say something ignorant, but I'm curious. So there's a voice recognition aspect of turning on Window-Mirror. Is there potential that someone might at some point forget that trigger? And then also, if so, do you have any efforts in the work to try and do smart listening to figure out when maybe they want to speak to Window-Mirror, they want to record a memory, but they can't remember that trigger?
Sure. So the way I think that we see this in an Alzheimer's journey, say you're diagnosed early onset. At this point, you're very functional. Over the course of your journey, beta amyloid plaques and tangles are going to take over your brain, and you're going to lose the ability to have short-term memory, and you're also going to lose the ability to be a forward-thinking strategist. So in an interesting sense, you're sort of very Buddhist. It's very present-minded. You're a present-minded problem solver, right? We could trigger prompts at times that you've already exhibited states of flow over the course of your journey. So as the progression gets more severe, it's just telling you, do you want to do it or do you not want to do it? And you can simply hit yes or no. But it's going to be based around the data that you've already provided by the times that you like to use it. So it's really building into the journey that you are choosing to share with this technology. Did that answer your question? I hope. Good.
How many people are using it? How many people are using it, and have you taken funding yet, or is it organically?
Yeah, no. So we're in seed round right now, and we were fortunate to get some early in seed round funding to build a prototype. We did a lot with a little bit of money. I've traveled around with it and have been able to meet a few people that I'm testing with. Actually, there's one gentleman who's great. His name's Sandy Halpern. He's got a show on CNN, Sandy Story, that Sanjay Gupta is producing. I don't know if anybody here has seen it or not, but he's testing my app, and he's the recipient of the Proxmire Award this year in D.C., March 14th. That's given to a person living with Alzheimer's that's affecting change in this space. Last year, Glenn Campbell won it. It's usually really notable people doing it, so it's a high honor for him. And he's using our app to craft his acceptance speech right now, which is pretty sweet. And this is like a very bare bones prototype, by the way. I wouldn't give this to somebody who is in their mids, in like the middle of their Alzheimer's journey, but it's, I think, right now to show proof of concept, we have something that works, and it's great for people in early onset. And we really want to grow into a full experience that's easy to use and ready for everybody by the end of the summer is our plan.
So you've obviously done your research, and my question is, who have you brought in to be your advisors? What technical, so what doctors, what other people have you brought in to be your advisors for this,
Sure.
this endeavor?
I have two gerontologists on my advisory board, Karen Love and Rosemary Laird. They're two of the nation's leading gerontologists. They're great. Also, there's a saying in the Alzheimer's world, nothing about us without us. So Sandy Halpern, who lives with dementia, is on my advisory board, because why would you ever make something without looking through the proper window? You need somebody in that experience, in that journey. So he's an advisor. Tom Canepa, a lawyer, is on our board. And then we're talking to a few other people right now, and the board keeps growing in interesting ways. I have a meeting this afternoon when I get out of here with Tom Higley to see if he wants to join our board, and he's a great guy. He has a company called 10-10-10 in Boulder, which is 10 wicked problems, 10 CEOs, 10 innovative solutions, and they're doing a lot to try to really shake up a lot of different verticals across the board and affect change in a lot of places. So he's a really cool guy. I also have Graham Dodge, who invented the app SickWeather. Has anybody heard of that? It was a big, they did like a Shark Tank round. They were in Techstars. It's like the Waze of sickness. It's pretty wild. A lot of newscasters using it in the morning, and it shows you where little like bouts of flu are happening in your communities and stuff, so you can hopefully avoid them. It's kind of interesting. SickWeather is the name of it. So he's another advisor. Yes, who am I?
Yes, I've got two questions, and one was, where did you get your metrics? I know that you're from Chicago, but you're in a library that does research for these kinds of things, So in the future, just saying.
Right.
Totally kidding.
Is that the question? Or
No, it's really not. That was just a
cute.
plug for the library. We're live here.
Oh, I love this space, by the way. This is an
I know.
amazing. Like I said, this is my third presentation, and none have quite been this grand. I can definitely say
Yeah.
they've all been great, but this is pretty amazing space.
And mine had a little bit to do with the guy who was talking about the voice recognition. Say, I want to look at it from a practical application standpoint. It's like, okay, I'm in the beginning stages of Alzheimer's, and I'm driving along the road, and I forgot where I'm going. Am I even going to remember that I have this app to use? And I kind of think that I would like to have it on my dashboard. So it's like, no, don't stop here. You're not going here. No,
Yeah,
don't
it's like
stop at
you need an
Arby's.
app to be a bit of a nagger. I know what you mean, and we've kind of joked about that. Is like how naggy do you get without being annoying as an app too, right? And then there's also this phenomenon of app fatigue, but then also even just accepting an app as authentic to your experience. A big thing for us that we're learning as we talk to people is there's a need for this. Right now, what you see as a prescription to person-centered care is very analog. They're like, get a moleskin, stick it in your back pocket with all your important vitals, information, hospital, where you go. So in case you're exhibiting some sort of dementia at any point in time, you can hold it up to somebody and go, hey, can you help me with this? And, now that's something that people do. They know to keep this moleskin in their back pocket. They know that they can look through it and have this like memento moment, analog. And I'm saying, no, digitize it. Put it in the phone. Keep the phone in your pocket. Start a relationship with this technology, with your phone, that's going to evolve with you in your Alzheimer's journey. But you have to accept that, right? This is something where, and this is why I believe that the first use case, this idea of sharing thoughts, memories, stories, and ideas is so valuable and important. It's something that we don't do enough of, I don't think. As I talk to people, it's certainly something I don't do enough of, but I'm starting to now. And it's really valuable, and it's good for your limbic system to actually go in and just sit and have a quiet moment and exercise that ability to go through your memories. I mean, who does this? Who blogs? Who talks about their past? And raise your hand. There's a few of you. Okay. It's good. It's an important thing you're doing. You are going to provide something for your family so that, like, your grandkids or your great-grandkids, when they wonder and they're struggling with something in their life, they go, what was it like for my great-grandma when she had to encounter a similar experience? And then they can look into your thoughts, memories, and more than that your feeling. How you feel is really important. So we want to create an ecosystem where we're providing that, share that, and Facebook already exists in a very outward, extended social networking scheme where you can share feelings somewhat, and you can really extend a network. I'm saying bring that back in. Let's share intimate feelings with our loved ones. Let's make something that's really valuable for them. And that's what we're trying to do. And that's what I think is going to be the thing that's going to really grab people and want them to be a part of this. And I think that's a great start to the journey with dementia. But we want to be able to grow into an experience for a deluxe app in like a very, very small subscription base that you can do all these other things too that will keep you engaged. And a big part of this is engagement too. So, yeah.
Great reference to the movie Memento. That was fantastic. So I have a family member going through the whole Alzheimer's struggle right now, and we've tried to get them to do vlogging. very similar to video blogging, and I love your idea, but the main problem that they had was they were just not technology agnostic. Have you had any case studies? Have you had any pushback from I hate to say it, the older generations, the baby boomers, the first generationals? What has been the pushback? Has there been a technology breakdown?
No, I mean, I've done research on exactly what you're talking about, though. Like training wheel method for people 65 and over is a phenomenon, right? Where they need to be able to learn a technology, and they're kind of afraid of it somewhat. That's why building and thinking about cultural metaphor is really important to us. And I think that the cultural metaphor of people 65 and over in general is greatly underserved in the tech space for a reason. I mean, if you look at Pew Research numbers, only 20% of the population over 65 are using smartphones. That's really small. So people don't put a lot of weight into building technology for that, right? For generations that are older. But look at the numbers. 10,000 baby boomers a day are retiring. And I would say a lot of baby boomers have smartphones that I see and that I come across. I would even say early Gen Xers are the next caregivers, and soon to be people living with this Alzheimer's journey too. All of them use smartphones. So this little window of what you're speaking with is moving fast, and it's disappearing quickly. That doesn't mean that they don't need the help now, and they should get the help. So part of that is also a grassroots effort where we can get awesome kids like you to go and meet with your elders who can tell you awesome stories, and maybe you can teach them how to use phones, right? And that kind of engagement is valuable too. There was a time when people used to do that a lot more. And I've been traveling around, and I've met in other communities where there's some musicians from universities that'll go, like 5 from a jazz school in Florida that would go to this dementia-friendly, capable community. And I'm like, well, that's great. They do that every Monday. What else? What else are you guys doing? What are the kids doing? And they're like, well, there's Monday at 5 p.m., jazz thing. I'm like, that's it? There's no other kids come in every day of the week to hang out with you guys? Because you're awesome. And there was a lady living on her dementia journey, late stage, 4th floor at this dementia-friendly and capable community, who was the first female fighter pilot in World War II. It's incredible, right? Wouldn't you like to meet her? Thank you. Yeah. So that needs to happen too. So we're talking about a movement where we can kind of bring it back to a time when youth would go and actually seek knowledge from their elders, and we can apply that. And at the same time, give people the ability to hack into their dementia and make their lives better and find those states of flow and extend them. And everything around that, by the way, when I'm saying that, it's really about engagement. And it's really about what are the things that make you feel good. So if you get up at 9 in the morning and for an hour you're exhibiting flow, and then later in the afternoon you're exhibiting flow, what are the things you're doing around that are great? Are you praying? Are you hugging? Are you reading your favorite books? Are you eating good food? Are you taking a nap? What are the things that you value, and how do we use that around these moments? So it's a good way to kind of break into all of the good things that you should be doing on this Alzheimer's journey. Yes.
I've
sorry.
got one here.
Sorry.
So I'm kind of in the same boat with this gentleman in that I'm doing the caregiving right now. And as I look at what you're talking about, I think the technology adoption is a critical problem. If I was looking at doing this for my mother, lights out, man. There's no way.
Sure.
But more than that, she can't remember, she doesn't remember, and she's not really, way down the road, but she sets stuff down and can't remember where it is.
Mm-hmm.
And she's walking around the house looking for stuff that she set down 2.5 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, as a potential advocate or buyer of this thing, it looks to me, and I'm just interested in how you would position it back, it looks to me like way more trouble than it's worth. Because
Sure.
I'm going to have all kinds of problems trying to teach her, trying to find the dang thing for her if she remembers it. It's just, and so just on a practical implementation level in my home, where we're trying to take care of her, it's a skeptical view, and I hate to be negative, but I'd like
That's
to hear
not negative
I'd
at
like to
all.
hear
I
your
think that's
response to it, 'cause
valuable.
I just don't see it working.
Well, and we talk about that a lot. We talk about wearables, and does it have to be a wearable for certain people? She has a smartphone, or she doesn't? Your mother, no. So you're just speaking to everything I just said about Pew Research too. How old is she? Yeah, I am testing. My mother is a caregiver to a dear friend of hers who's like a family member of ours, on top of working and kids and all the other things she does, right? And she's 94, and the same thing, except for her dementia isn't Alzheimer's related. It's more just old age dementia, but it's getting severe. Is it going to be easy for her to adopt this app? And when we've tried it, has she enjoyed using it? Yeah. But could she use it consistently? Possibly. Maybe not. But we're not necessarily targeting her for this aspect of the app. What would be great for her is just a geolocation, so you know if she's a wander risk is very important. So that's something that your mother could be susceptible to that would be important to have. So geo-tracking and geolocation is going to be huge. The idea of if she had a smartphone to begin with, which you'd have to start with, you would have to go through this idea of teaching her to look through a Windows experience. It might be hard. It might be hard. The people that we're weighting our efforts towards are more people getting diagnosed early onset. We're targeting millennials all the way up to baby boomers. And we're looking at who's in next year, who's getting early onset right now, who's being diagnosed. Based on the statistic, like I said, every 67 seconds there's a new diagnosis in the United States alone. Yeah, I mean, because it has to be. But I wish that we could build for her to make it easier. But like you said, it's just so much harder because her journey is just in a different time, and she's already so far advanced in her journey. And I feel for you. I know how tough it is. I wish there was some things that could make it easier for you, you know. And there might be some stuff on the market. We should have a conversation afterwards. There might be some things that could help a little. But if it's this idea of like learning from the ground up at this point, it's hard. I know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we don't look at anybody as competition. We just think anybody that's doing anything in the space to help is great, you know? That's kind of good. That's what's good about being in this side of the world rather than the like a really consumer-driven thing. If somebody makes something that's better than what we're doing, I'm going to be so inspired by them and so happy. This isn't that kind of deal, you know? And I appreciate what you're saying about what we need to do, and we've been challenged by that the whole time, but just the statistics, every 67 seconds there's a new diagnosis. There is no cure. This is growing exponentially. So there is a market of people that are capable, and there are people using every year, more and more people retiring and coming into this place where they're susceptible for the disease have smartphones. So there is a community that we can get into that's fairly large.
Hey. Yeah, just a second, sorry.
Say that again? They're presenting next. They're presenting. Oh, do you want them to ask a question, you mean? Yeah, this is like, I'm just warming it up. I'm warming you guys up for the delivery of these amazing kids, by the way. Before your question, you've been waiting for a while to ask a question, I believe. Oh. You raised your hand a while ago.
Hi.
Hi.
Is this working? Okay. So I come out of the sciences and healing, and I actually would have a different premise than you that we just don't have a cure yet. And so, you know, I absolutely hold vision that this can be turned around, and in the meantime, it can be slowed down. And what you're talking about with what is kind of like the social experiment in this multi-generational movement part, I think research is going to show that that kind of engagement is decelerating of the growing symptomology, you know, the progression. So, I mean, I look at that through the lens, a healing lens as well, and I think it can be and will prove itself if it ever gets researched, you know, really profound. And so I don't know if that's any kind of spin that you want to, you know, this isn't just technology that has all these perfunctory tracking mechanisms. There's a wholeness and life about this that might have, you know, large appeal as well. The heart within this.
You and I need to talk after this.
What's that?
You and I need to talk after this. I like you a lot. That was great. Thank you for this. And I feel the same way you do about this. And my intuition, I want that to be I want that opportunity. I want to give people an experience that actually helps in that way.
Yeah.
And another thing, and I'm not saying anything against pharmaceuticals. This is not like an anti-pharmaceutical statement in any way. But the fact is, Aricept and Apro, the things that the FDA have approved that are given to everyone living with Alzheimer's, only work for about 20% of the population. 80% have adverse effects. So we have to start thinking about this in a holistic approach. We have to think about diet. We have to think about prayer, meditation, and everything.
Yes,
and
yes, yes,
if
yes.
we can be part, and if technology can be part of that experience, it should. And I think they can, and I think it makes sense. So thank you for that.
And we know out of the emerging field of energy medicine, oh my God, the psycho-neuro
Totally.
immunology, all systems connected kind of thing, that when we have happy lymphocytes,
Mm-hmm.
all good things.
One of my
within our
advisors did
health,
some
wellness,
white
vitality.
paper on Reiki healing for Alzheimer's patients, and it worked. It was hugely effective. I think this might be my last
Yeah,
question.
we're getting tight on time, so this will be the last question
Yeah.
here.
Okay, I have one question in 39 parts.
Okay. That's a perfect setup.
I'm just kidding. In Chicago, have you found 1871?
Yeah, I like those guys.
And then also, besides the 500K, what else do you need?
So yeah, 1871's great. We're actually talking to a few other people sort of related to that. We have some VCs in a recently funded VC venture in Chicago that we're talking to when I get back in town. I'm not even back in Chicago till the middle of March, but we have that meeting happening. We kind of assessed our own pre-money valuation just really based on need. We're thinking if we had enough money for a year to really get this going, keeping it lean, $500,000 makes a lot of sense to iterate into everything that I want this to do even. And also like knowing that we may have to be in Chicago, we may want to be here, we may want to be in Boulder, but we're open to that. I mean, we've also put ourselves at we pegged at about $4 million to grow into like a full experience. Again, that's pre-money valuation. That's all subject to change because it's, I'm talking about vaporware, a prototype that's using one use case so far. But we feel like the numbers make sense. But I think we need to like step into a space where we're starting to have conversations with people about bigger picture just based on the audience, right? Totally. I mean, that's, again, why we're here and why we're interested in here. So if this is something you're privy to here, let's have a conversation afterwards. I'm interested in that. I've read a lot about why it's exciting to be in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and this new emerging development scene. I think that the communities that are being talked about the most are Austin and Boulder. These are the boom towns. There's literally an accelerator in Boulder called Boomtown for a reason, right? They're great spaces with a ton of people flooding into these communities to really grow. But I'm really interested I'm trying to target smaller communities where you can get a lot more community outreach, where I feel like less can be more in a lot of ways, and I'm interested in that. So please, let's have a conversation after. Guys, everyone,
Perfect,
ladies,
yeah.
gentlemen, and you, kids, get ready for like the best presentation of your life coming up in a second. And I thank you all for your time.
Let's have another round of applause for Sean.